This video is made in partnership with Moth. I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra for over 75 days now. I've been using it as my phone for business and personal use, and I even traveled with it and shared my experience in my previous video. I think it's such a great phone, and I have no problems recommending it to an Apple user who's wanting to try something new, or even just somebody who wants to find a phone that can do it all. I believe that the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra has everything that you would want out of a smartphone. So this is like my long-term review / a conversation with an Apple user who's wanting to switch, because I'll be making a lot of comparisons with the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro in this video. And in the end, I'll share which one I think is the better phone. The S24 Ultra, in my opinion, is the best looking phone right now in the market. It's modern, classy, and it definitely feels premium. It looks more like a true 2024 phone in my opinion, but don't get me wrong, the iPhone's design is not bad, but next to the S24 Ultra, it's looking a bit stale. Granted, when it comes to ergonomics, the iPhone feels better in hand. The corners of the S24 Ultra is just a little bit too sharp, especially when holding it without a case, and when I have it in my pocket, it kind of pokes out at times. Both phones are using titanium, and they've been pretty durable. I've used both phones with and without a case, and I have no scratches on either of them. Even the screens are holding up pretty well without a screen protector. They are practically flawless, but take note, I am pretty careful with my stuff. The first thing that really caught my eye with the S24 Ultra is its beautiful screen. It's big, it's vibrant, and it's definitely more immersive. Obviously, the screen of the S24 Ultra is bigger than the iPhone 15 Pro, but the difference is a little bit more exaggerated because it has squared corners and a subtle pinhole compared to the iPhone 15 Pro's rounded corners and dynamic island. It makes the S24 Ultra feel a little bit bigger. However, one thing that I was surprised by is the fact that the iPhone is brighter than the S24 Ultra indoors. But outdoors with adaptive brightness on, the S24 Ultra is brighter with 2600 nits of peak brightness compared to the iPhone 15 Pro's 2000 nits. The difference is definitely noticeable, especially when I was in Hawaii and looking at the screen under direct sunlight, but I think the experience is even more enhanced because of the anti-reflective coating that they put on the S24 Ultra. It's such a nice quality of life upgrade. Glare and reflections from your environment, like indoor lights, windows, are significantly reduced, and this translates to a more enjoyable experience while watching videos, doing everyday tasks, gaming, creating content, especially when paired with my favorite accessories from Moth. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, you know that I love their products. Moth is my go-to when it comes to phone accessories, and recently they sent me their creator kit, and a lot of what you'll see inside I actually have been using for a while now. First, the packaging is super nice. Like, for real. Moth has always had good packaging, but this actually can be reused as an organizer for your daily essentials, which is a really nice touch. In the box, you get the Movas Snap phone case for your iPhone, which is their very own vegan leather. It's easily one of my favorite cases ever. It's scratch resistant, stain resistant. I mean, just take a look at this. I've had this phone case since I got the iPhone 15 Pro back in October, and it still looks very good. It has a really nice texture, it's soft, solid tactile buttons, and it feels really nice in the hand. You also get this magnetic ring that you can install on a non-MagSafe case, so you can enjoy any of these Moth accessories, like the Snap Phone tripod stand, which is a very unique accessory. It's super versatile. It can act as a selfie stick for vlogging, a tripod for setting your phone down anywhere. You can even attach it to metal surfaces to get a unique shot, and it's also very practical. I like using it to prop up my phone when watching movies or referring to documents while working, and when I'm on video calls, it gives me a more flattering angle. The phone lanyard is also available for easy access to your phone when needed, while allowing you to keep your hands free when not in use. It has an easy one-handed adjustment that makes it so convenient to adjust the length. And last but definitely not the least, the Snap Wallet and stand has been an absolute favorite since 2020. This has been my go-to way to store my IDs and credit cards for a minimalist everyday carry. And even at home, I just keep this on my phone because you can still use it as a stand and leave it on your desk and not miss any notifications. I really love Moth and their accessories. I think they're well made, they're cleverly designed products, and I love how it allows you to work and create anywhere. And the creator kit is super amazing, which you can check out by using the link below. The S24 Ultra is such a pleasant device to use daily. Of course, there was an adjustment period, but I'm pretty comfortable with it now. And I think one of the main reasons is familiarity. I actually used it every day, and of course, the more you use something, the more you learn how to use it or adapt to its quirks. and the other reason is customization. For the most part, you can change or tweak things if you don't like them, or if you simply want to make things easier for you. For example, changing the navigation bar from buttons to gesture is a practical one. I didn't like the Samsung keyboard, so switching to Gboard was a big thing for me. It made the typing experience on the S24 Ultra more enjoyable for me personally, and I also took advantage of one-hand operation plus so I can quickly trigger Finder search, activate voice assistant, and easily open the quick panel. And there's so much that you can do, and I'm definitely still learning. But don't think that you have to go crazy with the customization because there's already a lot to enjoy. There are practical features like clipboard history, notification history, and even the edge lighting notification, which can be as immersive as a dynamic island and sometimes maybe even more. Of course, there's the multitasking feature, which I really like, especially when I'm working on my phone and doing some researching, typing captions. And then there's the floating window, which is another great one. As the name suggests, you can have a floating window of an app that you can then minimize and put it wherever on the screen. And whenever you need it, you can just easily tap on it to access the app again. It's so useful, but also kind of basic, and it makes me sad as a longtime Apple user that this simple feature is still not available in an iPhone. And then there's side panels, which makes it so easy for me to access my most used app and tools. There's also a voice isolation feature on phone calls, which is quite impressive. I used it in Hawaii for a business call, and despite the environmental noises, the person on the other line was able to hear me really well. I even tested this feature with my wife. I had her call me so that I can experience it for myself. And it was crazy that all I could hear was her voice and none of the background noise despite it being loud, until a motorcycle passed by. When it comes to the S Pen, my usage for it kind of comes in waves. There are some days when I use it a lot, and there are others when I barely touch it. Regardless, this is such a nice thing to have with you at all times because it makes signing documents, writing notes, and making fine adjustments a lot easier. There's just so much more, some that I haven't even explored like Dex, and I know that's a big feature on Samsung phones. Galaxy AI is probably the biggest addition this year to the S24 Ultra, and Circle to Search is definitely the feature that I use the most. The ability to look up something fast and quick is just so clutch, and this proved to be extra useful when traveling. I was able to look up names and facts about plants, animals, and basically everything else that I could see. Out of all the AI features, I would say that this is the one that naturally blended into my workflow. Every now and then I use the transcribe feature and summary, but it's not a crucial part of my usage because I still mainly work on my computer, so I don't always have it in my head to take advantage of it. Similarly, the photo AI features have not been as useful to me. I would still rather do the edits myself, especially since it's not as reliable. I showcased this feature in my travel day in the life with the S24 Ultra, and it's kind of hit or miss, so overall it still feels like a gimmick to me. But I guess it's good to know that I have it so that when I'm in a pinch, I might consider using it again in hopes to save some time and effort. But if Samsung turns this into a subscription model, I'm not sure if I'll consider paying for it. Gaming on the S24 Ultra is something I've really been enjoying. Having a 6.8-inch display makes it easier to spot enemies on Warzone Mobile, which I've been playing a lot quite recently. I even got a phone mount to attach my PS5 controller, and the experience has been really great. The performance on both phones are pretty similar. I never really experienced the A17 Pro chip slow down, but going back to the screen and form factor difference, the S24 Ultra offers a much better experience. Battery life on the S24 Ultra is also really great. I tracked the battery levels throughout the day during my travels, and even with heavy use, I still had 25% left, which is crazy. The S24 Ultra does have a bigger 5000 mAh battery compared to 3274 for the iPhone 15 Pro, which is a huge difference. And not to mention, the S24 Ultra can charge at a max of 45 watts, while the iPhone 15 Pro can only charge up to 27 watts. One thing I thought I would for sure miss was Airdrop, but surprisingly, not as much. I've simply been uploading my photos and videos to Google Drive and then saving it onto my computer, which I know adds a few extra steps, but it hasn't been that big of a deal. When I need to send photos or videos to an Apple user like my wife, the quick share link works pretty well. One thing that we struggled with initially was her trying to send photos and videos to me, but thankfully I'm using Blue Bubbles and it allows me to send and receive iMessages using my S24 Ultra. And this brings me to the few things that I find lacking in the S24 Ultra. I really wish that they incorporated Qi 2 with the S24 Ultra. I am a big fan of MagSafe, and although you can get MagSafe rings or cases for the S24 Ultra, it does interfere with the S Pen, which is a bummer. It becomes less accurate, which can be annoying. Second, the app support and compatibility for Android isn't as great as the iPhone. I experience bugs and crashes on the S24 Ultra more than I do on the iPhone. Apps on iOS just feel smooth and it feels tailored to it instead of simply being adapted, if that makes sense. This is probably more the developer's fault more than Samsung's, but it's something to point out. Also, the fingerprint reader is spotty. It just won't take my fingerprint at all, which can be really annoying. I registered my thumb and index fingers twice, which worked like magic in the beginning, but now it's kind of back to where it was. I wish Samsung could improve on this because Face ID is just so consistent and reliable in my opinion. When it comes to messaging, I've been using an app called Blue Bubbles, which allows me to use iMessage on my phone. The app itself has only given me issues about 5 times in the course of over 75 days, which is great, but I have to remember to keep my MacBook Pro turned on and charged, which is quite easy to do during the weekdays since I'm mostly at my desk. Weekends are a different story though because I barely touch my laptop, and so sometimes I would forget to charge it and I would go out and go about my day. Then all of a sudden my iMessage isn't working because the battery is dead. And then one time we had an internet outage for a couple of hours, and that means I have no iMessage because it's relying on my MacBook being connected to the internet. Luckily, there was nothing pressing that day, so it was fine. So we're in downtown Anchorage. We're gonna test out the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro. We're gonna take videos, photos, and we'll compare them later in the video. So let's go. This is downtown Anchorage. Beautiful. Cameras of the S24 Ultra is honestly so good. You can get really great shots, especially in well-lit environments. I took it to Hawaii with me and I love the photos and videos that I was able to take with it. The photos look great, it looks sharp, and the colors look amazing. Just take a look at these photos. The flowers look beautiful, the food looks appetizing, and Waikiki looks great in both the harsh noon sun and golden hour. And this also translates into videos. They have great dynamic range. Some of them you can't even tell that it was shot on a phone. And if you want to see more sample videos, I recommend watching my day in the life video. I filmed that whole thing with the S24 Ultra, the iPhone 15 Pro, and the Pocket 3. So I'm definitely curious to hear what you guys think of the video quality difference between those 3 devices. My issue with the camera of the S24 Ultra is that I find it to be a bit inconsistent. First, the 50 and 200 megapixel still has some weird processing going on despite the One UI 6.1 update. I took a photo of my setup and you can see the color shift from the 12 megapixel compared to the higher resolution options. The 50 and 200 megapixel photos has more of a magenta tint to it, which is not that big of a deal because it can easily be corrected. But when you zoom in, you really see the weirdness it's doing. For example, the cone part of the speaker is more defined on the higher resolutions, but the speaker stand texture is completely gone. And just for comparison, here it is next to the iPhone photo. You see the same trend when looking at the calendar. The numbers have a better outline, but it has added noise to it. It's not as black anymore. The 200 megapixel looks worse than the 50 megapixel, and here it is compared to the iPhone 15 Pro. The odd thing is it looks great right after taking the photo, but then it does its processing, and that's where it adds a whole lot of weirdness. And so I've just been shooting at 12 megapixels for the S24 Ultra and 24 megapixels for the iPhone. Looking at another example, the photo of the S24 Ultra here is so good. The food itself just looks better, but then on another photo, it's not as great. It's kind of overexposing it a little bit. Then on another example, the S24 Ultra is again so good. The best way I could summarize this is that the ceiling of the S24 Ultra is high, but the lows is lower than the iPhone. And meanwhile, the iPhone might not be as good as the S24 Ultra, but it's pretty consistent. However, there's plenty to love about the S24 Ultra. I love that the S24 Ultra switched to a 5x lens instead of the 10x lens, as I find it to be more useful for everyday use. I find it better to work in macro photography. For some reason, I could not get the iPhone to work well. The 100x is pretty cool. I took a photo of downtown Anchorage from my sister's house, This is about 11 miles away, and that's pretty crazy. These two photos were taken right by that building. Honestly, both phones take amazing photos. Sometimes they look super similar and kind of hard to tell apart, and sometimes you can definitely tell which is which. Generally speaking, the S24 Ultra tends to boost the shadows at the expense of the highlights, and the iPhone tends to keep the highlights at the expense of the shadows. The S24 Ultra photos lean more towards magenta and blue, and the iPhone photos lean a bit more orange and green. And the same goes for videos. They can look very similar at times. There might be a slight difference in exposure, color, and stuff, but both look really great. I will say though that the iPhone has a better stabilization. Just take a look at the clips I have here. You can see some shakiness and jitters in the S24 Ultra, something that you don't see in the iPhone. And the front-facing camera is very different, but you guys let me know which one you think is better. So right now we are using the front-facing camera of the S24 Ultra and the iPhone 15 Pro. Let me know in the comments below which picture quality and audio quality you guys prefer. It's extra cold right now. My hands so dry. I need lotion, bro. If you ask me to pick right now, I would still pick the iPhone to have a slightly better camera. It's very, very close to be honest, but the colors of the iPhone just appeals to me a little bit more. And when it comes to my phone, I just want something that makes it easy. I just want to point and shoot and not mess with the settings too much or even do any editing. And the iPhone gives me that in a more consistent way. I can shoot at 24 or 48 megapixels without any sacrifices, and there's also log video recording. And not to mention, when it comes to posting online, the iPhone does it better. I really wish Samsung would continue to push in that direction because I know they've already made improvements, but we just need a little bit more. So with all that said, which one is the better phone? I mean, it's truly subjective, but I will give you an answer. To me, the S24 Ultra is the better phone. It allows you to do so much more for about the same price, and I believe it has features that I think should be standard when it comes to a phone in 2024. I really think it has everything you would want in a smartphone. Yes, it has its quirks, but none of them are a deal breaker in my opinion. However, 90% of my contacts, maybe even more, are Apple users, and I'm a part of multiple group chats with immediate family, extended family, friends, fellow creators, and I'm not quite ready to give that up yet because at the end of the day, a phone to me is a way to stay connected to my loved ones. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll use the S24 Ultra as my work phone and use it 5 days out of the week. I'll keep using Blue Bubbles with it since I have my laptop on during those days anyway. But on the weekends, I'll take my iPhone 15 Pro with me so I don't have to worry about my laptop dying or anything like that. I'm not the type of person who wants to have two phones. I like to keep it simple, but I truly love using the S24 Ultra, and I'm honestly not done exploring the Android world. And also by having this setup, it would allow me to test out other phones in the future, something that I really want to be doing more of without affecting my personal life too much. If you guys made it this far in the video, type Ultra in the comments below. Let me know what phone you're using, and if you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.